Welcome to the Mike Smith Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Pishota, and what a game. Did you think it could happen? I didn't, but guess what? We won. We won. That's right. The New York Mets have finally done it. They have won a playoff series, and for the first time since 2015, they are going to the NLDS. So this is an incredible moment. If you're watching this game, first off, I'm so sorry that you had to watch 8 innings of just terrible offense from the New York Mets. But if you stuck through it, and I hope most of everybody did, you got to watch something truly special. This was a rally that was quite simply one of the greatest rallies in the history of the New York Mets. And that's like not even just like playoff baseball. That's just regular season baseball, any kind of baseball, really. The New York Mets stunned Milwaukee, the state of Wisconsin, New York, the country, really. This was a game that they were not supposed to win. If you were watching the ESPN broadcast, and again, my apologies if you had to watch the ESPN broadcast, because we all know, not quite the same as watching an SNY broadcast. But if you were, then you were watching the stupid probabilities that they were throwing up at the top of the screen all night, meaning which team had a better percentage of winning. And you're like, okay, well, I'm pretty sure the Brewers are going to have a much higher percentage winning going into the ninth inning, winning 2-0. And the Mets had a 7% chance of winning at the start of the inning. And this is to kind of show you that this is a team that is like, things are a little weird right now. It doesn't make any sense. They're winning games that they have really no business winning, blowing games late and then coming back, rallying. And let me tell you something, this team can rally like nobody's business. It is insane watching this team just come up with continual clutch hits, and of course it started with Francisco Lindor getting on base to start the inning off. Vientos with strikes out, unfortunately, but then Brandon Nimmo with a great piece of hitting. Lindor moves first to third. We got runners on the corners, and wouldn't you know it, 1 out, we got Pete Alonso off the bat, and Pete Alonso, as he has been doing, had done nothing pretty much as he's just been doing nothing really for most of the series and most of the last few games. And if you're a Met fan, you're like, Pete, can you just do something, please? Can you do one thing? Do one thing before you leave, if you are leaving, in fact. Pete hits a 3-run home run, and it's the moment we've been waiting for Pete forever, to do something in like the clutch. And it's just like the majority of what he's been doing has been just a lot of, it's a garbage time, late inning home run. Like, thanks Pete, you added up to the score. Congratulations. Yeah, that wasn't going to do anything. Do something with guys on base for once. Do something where we're behind and we need a big hit here. Come on, do something. And he does it. He did it. That was the biggest hit of his career. And for him to not shrink in the moment, because my first thought watching it was, oh my God, he's going to hit into a double play, and that's going to be the end of the season, and that will be the end of him as a Met, because they're going to be like, no, thank you, please, we appreciate your body of work, but you're just the worst player ever, and please leave. And him going in this complete 180 in terms of my estimation of him is just unreal. It is much like everything that's been going on in New York these last few weeks and months, and like it's just been this continual defying of expectations, and it doesn't seem to stop. It just keeps going. Like things keep getting crazier and crazier. I thought the Atlanta game to win it, to just get into the postseason, was nuts. I thought that was nuts. This was insane. Like, they had no business winning this game, having no offense for 8 innings and facing the best bullpen in Major League Baseball, in my opinion, and facing Devin Williams, all-star caliber closer, a guy who has one of the filthiest pitches in baseball, that changeup that continuously fooled everybody, but they just kept getting on base, and it was good at bats. And Alonso, who had an exceptional at bat, forcing the count, not chasing, and making Williams throw him a fastball away. And Alonso does what he should be doing when the thing that like people were just like screaming at him for to do more and more, Just go with it. Go in the opposite. Go opposite field, and your natural power will take that ball. It'll take that ball over the fence, and it did it. It was, let's say, like this was as tight a home run as I've ever seen. This was a line drive that just had enough exit velocity and arc. I don't know, angle. I don't know exactly what you call it, but it had just enough height to clear the fence. And if not for that little alcove that they have in right field, it probably is going off the fence, or maybe it's an out. It's just like a sac fly, right? And it's just unreal. It was an incredible series of events. And if you're like a Milwaukee Brewer fan, and a New York Met fan, you're both thinking the same thing, which is, what just happened? And for two very different reasons, though. You're thinking the same thing, but two different reasons. If you're a Brewer fan, you're like, what just happened? We were winning that game easily, handily, 2-0. Best bullpen in baseball is doing it. And we got our star closer on the mound. This guy can win us a game. They've been able to hit anything that we've been throwing all night. And then it all goes to hell in that one half of an inning. It was insane. And then we got to talk about Jesse Winker going at the bat. He getting hit on like the hand, or I don't know what exactly. I think it was the elbow, but gets on base, steals second, which I don't think anybody was really expecting him to do. So he's on second base now, and he's like kind of grimacing. There's something wrong with him. We're not really sure, but he's got the adrenaline in him. Jesse Winker's like a nut job, so he's gonna stay in this game no matter what. And Winker comes around thanks to Starling Marte again doing what he's been doing this entire series, which is just going to the opposite field. It's insane that the Brewers have still never adapted to him, because this guy has been trying to pull a ball the entire series. Like he's just like, okay, I'm just gonna keep going to the opposite field since nobody wants to get in my way over there. And he just keeps going opposite field, single. He does it again. And Winker scoring and throwing down the helmet and destroying it was just, I mean, I thought the Alonso chef kiss was epic and iconic. This was equally as epic and iconic. Him just throwing down the helmet, and we all know, we've all been watching Winker this series, and his needling of Willie Adames at shortstop, but it's just been one of the craziest games ever. And giving that insurance, giving them an extra run of insurance, and then Mendoza having the idea to go to David Peterson in the ninth inning to close it out. And it's immediately dicey. He gets the leadoff single, and but comes back, gets the strikeout, and then finishing it off with a double play that Francisco Lindor takes himself, finishes it off. I mean, just spectacular. It was amazing. It was absolutely incredible watching that game, and it was just you felt all the emotions all at once, all in the span of, I don't know, like 20 minutes. I guess it was like 20 minutes. So you were like entering that ninth inning, you're like entering it, and you're feeling like, oh God, it's just closing in on you. Like, no, they're gonna get eliminated. This incredible season's gonna be over. The season that no one expected to happen, and it's all coming to end in Milwaukee, of all places, of stadium, of just nothing good happens ever, and for them to just wrench it back, and Lindor getting on base, and then, like I said, they rally like nobody I've seen. They have like this incredible will and desire to stay alive, and they want to be there, and they want to keep fighting, and it's insane. And there are times I'm like, I just don't know if they have anything left in them, and they bring it back. They somehow summon all of this. I don't even know what you would call it. Like they summon this inner like desire to like stay alive. It's like survival instinct for them. Like it is connected to their DNA that they want to stay in this. They don't want to go home. They don't want to they don't want to start their off seasons, even though I'm sure they're exhausted. And I'm like, and that is the other thing we have to talk about, which is that fact that they keep flying. They've been flying back and forth between Milwaukee and Atlanta for a week. and they have had no time off really, and they haven't had a time to really sort of compose themselves. So they're doing this all on zero rest, and the stupid schedule that Major League Baseball designed, where now thank God they finally are going to have a day, where they can kind of regroup here. They got to fly back to Philly for the weekend for the NLDS. I mean, this is just yeah, it has got to be just, everybody's got to be so tired right now. It's so exhausted and mentally drained. They've had some insane finishes this week. It's been a week that none of these guys will probably ever forget. I mean, that game in Atlanta was an all-timer game. This is another one. I mean, this was insane. I cannot describe what a back and forth series this has been, where I thought they had a chance to close it out in 2 games. They lose game 2, and we set up for this game 3, and I'm the same thing's happening. They haven't scored in 16 innings. It was basically 16 innings of scoreless innings at the point. They had absolutely done nothing for so long. The offense was so quiet, and you're the Brewers pitching staff has completely solved this Mets lineup, and they can't do anything to sort of re-engage themselves. And then again, within 20 minutes, everything changed. Everything that it's all of a sudden the Brewers were the ones who were looking punchless, and the way it finished off was just so special and so incredible. And I had to even mention how good Jose Quintana was. Quintana stepped up. And, if you're a Mets fan, you've been watching this whole season, you're oh, God, it's all going to come down to a game that Jose Quintana's starting. But he was fantastic. 6 scoreless innings, only allowed 4 base hits, struck out 5. And, again, it was the problems with the Met bullpen that got him into this, where, Jose Butto is this time. And it for the Mets' 2 best relievers, not named Edwin Diaz, being the ones that are struggling now, it's not great. It's not something that you're oh, good, this is another challenge, just what we wanted. But having Budo struggling now, giving up the 2 home runs, and then having to go Diaz, and Diaz was not great. Let's say it was an inning and 2/3, and walking a pair, striking out 3. I mean, he had to really summon it down, and again throwing 40 pitches, but keeping it tight. He was able to make sure that it didn't go any further in that point. But it was just nuts. The Brewers were very pesky this entire series, and I give them a lot of credit. They were certainly a very feisty team. It was a team that won 93 games, I think, and to say that they were quality opponents, it doesn't really do justice. They were, I think in most people's estimation, probably the better team. But as we've seen with the MLB playoffs for the last couple of years, with the wild cards being added in, and the wild card round being added in, and having all these extra games you have to kind of play and get your bats ready, and then there's more time to prepare. All these things, and it's just the better team, or the team with more wins, does not always win in October anymore. That's not the case. You're really seeing the 1 or 2 seeds advance all the way to the playoffs, all the way to the World Series, and it's the teams that have the most momentum are the ones that seem to keep coming up over and over again. They seem to keep winning these series that they have really no business winning against opponents that you would say on paper look much better, but for whatever reason in those series, the team with more momentum is the one that wins. It's not always the team that has more wins. So it's just it's really interesting. We now go back to Philly, and we have to play Philadelphia once more. The Mets and Phillies are very familiar with each other at this point. They play each other twice in September. Both series were very dramatic, had a lot of big moments, big games, and it was pretty back and forth between both series. And this is a situation where I'm okay, this could easily go the full 5 games. I mean, it's very likely that, in fact, I would expect it. And I'm doing this all I'm really tired. I worked a full day, and then coming home, and I'm watching this game, and had a couple drinks and watching this game. I've been depressed for 8 innings, and then watching this, it was just I felt all the emotions, and then now I'm starting to finally decompress, and now I'm like, okay, I just kind of want to. I want to kind of digest and recompose myself before what will surely be another crazy series, another situation for us all to kind of fret about and panic about while we're watching more Mets postseason baseball. But what a win! What an incredible game! And if you're a Met fan, you feel so strongly connected to this team. They like I said, are a team that doesn't seem to want to die. They don't want to give in. They want to keep playing, and they have a will to survive that it's something that we're not used to seeing. We're used to seeing the teams that just give up, and you see teams fall apart, and teams that you would think would be better, but this team just they continually find ways to win. And if you're a team that can do that, if you're a team that has that ability to just keep finding yourself in more and more situations, you can go far. You can really do a lot of things, and it's amazing to watch. I'm very emotional. I feel a lot right now. I feel like this is I really thought it was it. I thought that was it for the entire game. I thought that was that the season was over, and I didn't think. I again underestimated them, but at the same time, I thought there was a part of my mind where I was like, don't let this guy get on. I was like, don't let Lindor get on base. Don't let them start a rally, because they will finish it. There's something really weird going on. They don't win these games usually, and when you see it, you just feel like there's something special. There's something amazing, quote unquote. You feel like they could do something, that they might do something. The Arizona Diamondbacks made it all the way to the World Series last year. I don't want to put that kind of thought out yet. I want to think about the NLDS, but I'm like, the thought does occur to you where you're like, this team, there's something going on. I don't know what it is exactly, but you know it, you feel it. If you're a Met fan, you know it. If you're a Yankee fan, you probably don't know it. You're like, I don't know what this is. You're used to dominating. For a Met fan, you're used to maybe something weird will happen, and when it does, you're like, okay, there's something kind of crazy. You feel it. It's magic. I guess that's the way to define it. There's something kind of weird. It's just when you knew it. If you were in 1969, you saw it. You're like, there's something weird going on. They shouldn't have won that game. They shouldn't have won that series. They did it. 86. They shouldn't have won that game. They shouldn't have won that series. They did it. You gotta believe? Is that what we're trying to say? I think I believe. They haven't done anything to make me think I can't believe in this team. Maybe they have something special. Everything I've seen from them these last few weeks, it is special. They don't win those games. Ever. And for them to do what they did was just so special. I cannot express how surprised and how bemused. Is that what I'm thinking right now? I'm like, this is insane. I can't help but feel like it's gonna happen. And but because I'm a fan, I also have to temper myself. I also was rooted to my couch at the same time watching that game, and I'm like, okay, don't move, don't jinx it. I threw my phone away. I wasn't returning texts from people who were like, are you watching this right now? And I was like, I can't jinx it. I don't want to do anything right now. Because my only thought was, I'm a Met fan, and this is as blessed as they are sometimes, they are also wildly cursed, and you don't jinx that stuff. So it's you have to be optimistic, but you're also optimistically cautious. I guess that's the way to kind of describe how I'm feeling right now. Optimistically cautious, where I feel like something's happening right now, but I'm like, okay, let's keep it going. Let's focus on the NLDS. Let's focus on the Phillies, and let's see if we can do what maybe a lot of people don't think can be done, which is shock people once more and play some October baseball that's going to just blow people's minds. We'll see.
Thank you for listening to the Mike Spence podcast. Please be sure to follow us on Spotify and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Finally, please also follow the podcast Twitter, which is Mike Spence Pod, all one word. Appreciate your time and have a wonderful rest of your day or evening. Let's go, Mets.